You are Locked On Phillies Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the show, everybody. Welcome into the show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is Locked On Sports Philadelphia, the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. This right here is our Locked On Phillies postcast. Thank you so much for joining me after a fun-filled evening. 2 innings of free baseball as Nick Castellanos is all the offense the Phillies needed in tonight's game. Aaron Nola on point. Struggled a little bit through 6 innings of work, had 1 bad inning. Braves were able to get to him in that inning, but other than that, he was on point. The bullpen was fantastic, and Nick Castellanos was the hero of the evening. Such a great time. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Philadelphia your first listen every day. Make sure you like and subscribe to Locked On Sports Philadelphia. And also, make sure you listen to all the Locked On podcasts when it comes to all your Philadelphia sports takes. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and also on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This particular episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get 3 free week trial when it comes to NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That's courtesy of FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. I can't believe tonight's ball game. Agonizing at times. You're watching Aaron Nola just pitch his guts out for the Phillies to be able to have a chance to win in this game. I said it throughout the game. I'm still here in Virginia. You can tell by the backdrop, and not a lot of people watching the Phillies down here, as one would expect. But I'm talking about Aaron Nola. Always seems to have that 1 inning, and then all of a sudden he really settles in, or he has an inning where he gives up a solo home run or 2 solo home runs, and then he settles in. Tonight we saw that happen for Aaron Nola, and that unfortunate inning for him. He threw 31 pitches in the 4th inning, and that's where you saw the Braves really be able to get those innings up. You had the home run to Harris in the 3rd inning, and then in the 4th inning, they were able to play 1 more. Unfortunately, only 1 more on that Whit Merrifield double play ball that was then overturned as not a double play ball, and the run ended up scoring for the 2nd run of the game. But Aaron Nola, through the most part, used 100 pitches to get through those 6 innings of work. Struggled, like I said, but those were the only 2 innings that he really had any huge problem with. But you saw Aaron Nola do exactly what you want to see from him for the vast majority of his start, and I loved what I saw from Aaron Nola. Absolutely admired what I saw from the Phillies bullpen tonight. Just the 2nd time Carlos Estevez went 2 innings in 1 outing. He did it for the Phillies tonight, and he was incredible. And the star of the night, I mean, you guys know we do 3 big things every single show. Forget about that. Nick Castellanos. All 3 runs driven in by Nick Castellanos. And if I could go through my emotions with you watching Castellanos tonight, there was one particular inning where it drove me crazy. And I have been the first to defend him. I've been the first to criticize him when criticism is due. But he goes out there tonight in that 4th inning. And it was after the 31-pitch inning from Aaron Nola, the top half of that 4th inning. And Nick Castellanos steps up after Bryce Harper got a hit. And Castellanos hacks at the first pitch and grounds into a double play. And I'm thinking, can you help your pitcher out just a little bit by taking a couple pitches in this bat? Hey, look, I defend him all the time when it comes to swinging at the first pitch. I have highlighted what they highlighted in the game tonight, that when he does swing at the first pitch, he hits around 332. I even mentioned it on last night's show. They put it up there tonight. When he swings at the first or second pitch, he's hitting 357. This particular instance, it didn't work out for him, and Nick Castellanos grounded into the double play. And I'm thinking, great, you just had Aaron Nola throw 31 pitches. Castellanos, could you be a little bit more patient just in that particular situation to help out Aaron Nola? Sure enough, then Nick Castellanos comes up to the plate in the 6th inning. Phillies are down 2 runs. You know how this ends, but there's 2 outs at this point. He's down in the count 0-2. The first pitch he got from Schwellenbach in that at-bat was a fastball, middle in, a crushable pitch for Nick Castellanos. A crushable pitch, and that's the one he takes. Fine. Next thing you know, he gets an 0-2 slider in that same at-bat. It hangs up just enough, stays inside. Schwellenbach, it was Darno behind the plate for the Braves tonight. He lined up on the outside corner of the plate. So they're trying to get Castellanos to do what he's done many times, which is flail away at a low and away slider. Schwellenbach, of all the pitches he didn't make tonight, this is the biggest one because there wasn't many that he didn't make. Doesn't execute this pitch, brings it middle into Nick Castellanos, who then puts it up the middle for a 2-run double. That made what really was what tied the game for the Phillies in that situation after you had a runner on with 2 outs. Trey Turner got the 2-out base hit. Then Bryce Harper got the 2-out double on a dying Quail down the left field line. He turned on the Jets for second and third with 2 outs, and Castellanos then went up there and got that game-tying 2-run double to help the Phillies out in this game, and also take Aaron Nola off the hook, give a little bit more of a chance to the Phillies as their bullpen came in and just dominated. And the numbers you have seen from this Phillies bullpen, most notably Jeff Hoffman, Orion Kerkering, Matt Strahm, and Carlos Estevez, who now have 15 1/3 scoreless innings against the Astros and the Braves, highlighted by Corey Simon, NBC Sports Philadelphia. If that's not a clutch bullpen, I don't know what is. But then later in the ballgame, of course, after Nick Castellanos came up clutch for the Phillies in that 6th inning, he stepped up to the plate in the 11th inning. In our last inning, what would be our last inning of free baseball. And he goes up there with a runner in scoring position. And let me just say this. Before it even happened, I want to say this. I thought about you, not just you Phillies fans, but I thought about the Atlanta Braves fans that have crawled into our chat, and we appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. Much obliged. But oh my goodness gracious. When Brian Snitker took out Bummer and brought in Holmes, my mind immediately flashed to game 1 of this series, where they brought in Holmes to face Nick Castellanos, and Holmes challenged Nick Castellanos with a fastball middle in. Nick Castellanos took a great hack at it, but missed. And I'm thinking, give him one more. If he gets one more of those pitches, forget about it. The Phillies are going to take the lead. Sure enough, Holmes threw another one at Nick Castellanos at 95 miles per hour. He put it out of the park for a 2-run game-winning, what later became the 2-run game-winning home run for the Phillies after Marsh hit the 3-run homer earlier in the game. So what does Brian Snitker do? Does he learn from his mistake? No, he says, hey, you know what? I'm sure that's just a one-time thing. There's no way he's going to be able to do this again, right? No way he's going to be able to do this again. And I thought about you Braves fans, and I thought about you guys crawling into the chat and saying, Brian Snitker's an idiot. This guy's a moron. How does he even do this? This is ridiculous. How does he bring him to face Nick Castellanos? And sure enough, that's exactly what they did. They brought in Holmes to face Castellanos again, who, by the way, is hitting against right-handed pitching. He's hitting 245, I believe it is, on the season. And against lefties, he's hitting 275 on the season. But Castellanos goes up there tonight and delivers again, this time around, against Grant Holmes. And this time he puts it up the middle for the base hit, bringing in the game winner for the Phillies to win this game against the Atlanta Braves and win 3 out of 4, put the Braves back to 7 games behind the Phillies in the standings. And this was the series. I told you guys going into this homestand, both against the Houston Astros and then again against the Atlanta Braves. You got to win that series against the Astros, which they did. And if you do that, you win again against another good baseball team. You beat the Royals 2 out of 3. You come home, you face a team like the Houston Astros, you win 2 out of 3 there, and then you got to get the Atlanta Braves monkey off your back. And that's what the Phillies did in this series. And I told you guys leading up to this moment, I will not believe the Phillies are back to being a true World Series contender until they can get the Braves monkey off their back. That's what they did. They have to beat good teams again. They've done that now their last 3 series in a row. And the Phillies just won 3 out of 4 against the Atlanta Braves. That is a huge step in the right direction. So much a great step in the right direction. Forget about being in the right direction. You're in the right spot right now. Continue this. You got the day off tomorrow. Bullpen can take a well-deserved rest. Aaron Nola, I know it was only 6 innings, but Aaron Nola goes out tonight and throws 100 pitches in that time. That's a heavy workload for one of the Phillies aces who really picked up huge for the Phils tonight. And they get the day off tomorrow. They can rest up before getting back at it after that, and then continuing, hopefully, what will be a red-hot September. When we come back, there's a guy that I feel like I have been having to defend that shouldn't need any defense. And we'll get to that when we come back. You're Locked On Sports Philadelphia and the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. This is Locked On Phillies Postcast. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. My name is Mark Farzetta, back in a second. And when we do return, one guy that for some reason needs to be defended. We'll talk about that in a second. But right now, let me tell you about FanDuel and how incredible FanDuel is. FanDuel, you heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And they have something a little bit different for you now through September 22nd with the NFL knocking on the door. All FanDuel customers can bet $5. That's right, just $5. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and they can win a free trial for NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. How about that? Pretty incredible. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. And how about these odds on the NFL MVP for the upcoming season? As you would expect, Patrick Mahomes is up there at plus 450. Josh Allen is at plus 800. Joe Burrow plus 1,000. CJ Stroud plus 1,100. And Jalen Hurts right there with him as well at plus 1,100. Awesome. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on and download America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com/locked on. And how about this, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, want to thank you for making sure to make Locked On Podcast your first listen every day. Your second listen, you could enjoy Locked On MLB Podcast with host Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. He's here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here through the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Before I get into the chat check here, as we always get into, can someone explain to me why we need to defend Bryce Harper so much? Why I feel the need to defend Bryce Harper? And I know they talked about it during the game today, but look, he hasn't hit a home run in nearly a month, August 9th, so he's still got some time before it's officially a month, obviously, more than a week. But this is a guy who's coming off a month of August that is supposed to be a down month, where his on-base percentage was still 370, 375, and he hit damn near 300 through the month of August. And we're supposed to have concerns about that? I'm concerned, about the nagging injuries. I'm concerned about the elbow. I'm concerned about the wrists. I'm concerned that he does most of the time when he smells a double, like tonight, and he sniffs it out, he goes after it and he gets that double. But there's a lot of wear and tear after a long season. That's more of a concern. But when I look at the numbers for this guy, the power numbers have certainly drooped off. I have a lot of confidence he'll be able to get back into the swing of things. Had a bit of a drought last year as well. And then you saw him start to be that MVP caliber player towards the end of last year. I believe 100% we will see that again before the season's over. So for me, I am not concerned about Bryce Harper being able to contribute to this team, hopefully making it back to another World Series. And after they put together what we have seen recently over the last week and a half from this Phillies team, they absolutely look like a team that is, again, back to being a World Series contender. I know I shouted out a lot of guys there in the first half of the show there in the first segment, but I also want to make sure I get all the Phillies bullpen arms referenced in this show. Orion Kirkering, and here's what was so amazing. The Atlanta Braves bullpen tonight, first two guys out of the pen in total through, 4 outs through just 8 pitches to get the Phillies. Through 4 outs, 8 pitches. That's not patience. That seems like you're certainly pressing and almost panicking in a start like tonight, in an outing like tonight. But the Phillies then, later in the ballgame, as it continued to go on, started to have some good at-bats, started to work some counts, started to get guys on base, and started to put a little bit more pressure on the Atlanta Braves. And then finally, with their defense and their bullpen locking down, most notably Carlos Estevez, again, going out there for 2 innings tonight, needing 19 pitches in total over those 2 innings, coming up with 2 strikeouts for a second consecutive outing, granted, again, 2 innings this time around. That's the clutch performance that Dave Dombrowski traded for. And if you're looking for a season where there hasn't been a lot of ups for Dave Dombrowski just in this isolated season, Whit Merrifield, probably the most shining example of that, or lack of shining, I should say. Carlos Estevez has been a guy that has gone out there and maybe one time make you a little bit nervous about what he's doing out there. But this time tonight, he absolutely was clutch for the Phillies in closing this game out and making sure that they had the opportunity with that runner in scoring position in both extra innings. They had a chance to go out there and make something happen. And that's what the offense was able to take advantage of. And that's what Nick Castellanos took advantage of in that 11th inning to make sure the Phillies locked up that victory. Let's see what you guys have to say about this one. As exciting as it was, I want to make sure I get the fans' perspective on all this. I know you guys are chiming in. I have not checked the chat just yet, but I can only imagine the people that were in the chat before the game was even over. Seeing a lot. The chat is bumping. IBH, you're the one I'm thinking of here. Crossing my fingers in extra innings. Johnson Wall right there. I'm on the edge of my seat right now. Bottom the 11th. John Marinelli, I see you as well. Nikki RBIs. Forget about Nikki 3 buttons. It's Nikki RBIs now. Morgan Landy, Nikki Clutch. There's IBH, Nikki 3 buttons. Evelyn, what's going on? Yeah. He drives you crazy. I don't know if you guys caught any of them when he was on ESPN right before I went on. But it was typical Nick Castellanos of getting asked a question about this Phillies squad going out there and just executing. And he got asked a question in particular about the last pitch he saw. And Castellanos stayed on it against Grant Holmes, and he just put it into the outfield. And when he was asked about the pitch, what happened on that? You saw it. You watched the game, right? The man does not suffer fools, not even a little bit. And that's his approach with just about everybody, whether you're the home announcer, Tom McCarthy, or you're a national announcer. Started that count 0-2, took a ball on a slider. He laid off the slider and then fouled one off, another slider, and then he got that fastball. This one not in the same location he hit the home run off Holmes the other night. This one was middle of the plate, up and away a little bit, and he was able to go with it and put that ball into center field for the game-winning RBI single. Just like that. I know it can be extremely frustrating, but the thing that he does that is so frustrating is swing at the first pitch. But when he swings at the first pitch, he's a 330 hitter. So if that's the approach he wants to go with, it seems to work rather well for him. IBH, man, this playoff type baseball. I'll say this. For the second night in a row, I mean, really, this entire Brave series, it felt like every game was a playoff game. Every game was a playoff game. And I was just waiting for Spencer Schwellenbach to just make one big mistake. And the Phillies, I mean, think about this. The Phillies really had their opportunities in the early goings of this game. And it wasn't unlike two of the early games in the series where you constantly had guys on base, especially in the beginning of the game. The Phillies were going through this game. They got Schwarber on base with a single in the first inning. Stott walked in the second inning to lead it off. Harper in the fourth inning got a single. And then that was a good run the Phillies had through 3 of the first 4 innings. They got the leadoff runner on. But again, like so many other times in this series, unable to advance that runner to second base even. And what was really wild about it was that when Nick Castellanos got that double in the 6th inning to tie the game, when when Trey Turner rounded second base to head to third on Harper's double, that was the first time in the game, I believe, a Phillies player touched second base. They had to wait to the 2nd inning to do that. For comparison, in the 6th inning, Aaron Nola was at 85 pitches at the start of that 6th inning. When Spencer Schwellenbach took the ball and went to the mound in the 6th inning, he was only at 66 pitches, nearly 19 pitch difference between the two of them. Phillies certainly looked like they were pressing early in counts, and Schwellenbach was doing a great job keeping him off balance, and he really hadn't made mistakes, especially if he did allow a leadoff runner on. He seemed to lock in rather quickly. So Castellanos goes up there, goes down on the count 0-2, and that's when they got that slider. And right then and there, Schwellenbach walked off the mound in disbelief that pitch that d'Arnaud was lined up on the outer half of the plate, he let drift in, and that slider that hung in, and not only hung in, but drifted in to the inner half of the plate to Nick Castellanos for him to get that double. Just like that. What was a incredible start and an incredible run for Spencer Schwellenbach up until that point ended rather abruptly, and with him not even in line to pick up a victory. That's what was so special about that particular instance. The Phillies having opportunities in the early goings of the game and then not being able to cash in until Castellanos came in the sixth inning. Star Wars 99, what's going on? Casty's night. Bam, man, 100. What an exhausting and exhilarating game. My God. I just wish our offense could have given us more in this series, like the Royals, instead of these grinds with the Braves. The grinds with the Braves are just how they play the Braves. I mean, you even go back to the series in Atlanta 10 days ago, 12, 13 days ago. They were struggling in that series as well. Nothing was easy in that one. I know they lost 2 out of 3. But this time around, yeah, nothing was really easy in this series either. A lot of patience for Phillies fans. April, there you are, April. Ring the bell. Casty coming in clutch tonight. Mark K. Still got to figure how to move runners to third. That would certainly be good. Tim Cioni. Casty, you son of a gun. Holy smokes, what a game. Nola did a decent job. Decent's a good word for it. But look. Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, you have needed to be clutch. With Ranger Suarez, not exactly sure right now what you get. Hope. Hey, look, I highlighted it last night, but Rob Thompson said after Ranger Suarez last night, that was the plan, to have him go out there and just have the same pitch count, pitch around the same and all that stuff. Although he struggled a lot more in his last start against the Braves, you see him go out there against the Royals, and he was great. This time around, there's a lot to be desired. But it looks like he'll be able to unleash the fury that has been Ranger Suarez after his most recent start. He'll be back to normal. So getting clutch performances from Zach Wheeler, getting a clutch performance from Aaron Nola tonight, even though, yeah, it was labored, you still needed to see those types of performances from those guys, and you got those performances. Your team was in more than just a striking distance to win these games. They were winnable games for the Phils. So that was a very comforting thing to see that from both Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, because of the two, you need those guys, of all your starting pitchers, you need those guys locked in as the season goes on. Luis, what's going on? Or Lewis, as much as he struggled early, he worked on his game, never took a day off, and he has become an essential player in the lineup. Yeah, there's no denying it. Again, there'll be those instances with Nick Castellanos where he does flail away at those sliders that are low and away, or those breaking balls low and away time and time again. But when he's producing at the rate that he has been producing since the first month of the season, really, he has been your most consistent hitter. I mean, if you just look at his game logs, if you look at his splits throughout the season, just every single month since the first really month and a half of the season, if you're being honest, he has just been going out there and hitting 275 for you. The on-base percentage, yeah, sure, could leave a little bit to be desired, but this is a guy that's not paid to get, on base. He's paid to get in scoring position and drive in runs. And he's been doing that for the Phillies for the last 2.5, 3 months, really. 3 months in total now. Jason Hess, let's go Phils. Mark K. Oddball? What happened? Kyle McGill, glad to see Casty continue. Yeah. KGB, what's going on? Farzy, hypothetically, if Tricky Nicky didn't come in the clutch, who would have pitched in the 12th? That's a great question. I didn't see if Tyler Phillips was in the pen. Would they have moved Cody Clemens, Garrett Stubbs? No. Taijuan Walker? What's did I miss Farzy can't bench the bar in the chat? Farzy can't bench the bar. More like F.A. Arya can't start the stream, never gets up. There's a lot going on in a walk-off victory, man. There's graphics that got to be changed. You know what I'm saying? John Brandon Marsh should never attempt to bunt again. That's great. Oh, this is when you got... Wow, this is only the beginning of you guys. Okay, I got to flip to the end here to see what else I got in there. You guys are piping hot. Buddy Christ, what's going on? 3 buttons, 3 ribs, 3-2 victory, 3 out of 4. Yeah, I hear you. Lisa Wicks, awesome Casty. Tampa Eagle, way to go, Nick. Yeah, how about this? The Phillies, thanks from the Cubs. Jason Milley, what's going on? Thanks from the Cubs. Please rest your starters versus the Cubs at the end of the month. Don't see that happening. Thank you very much. Buddy Chris, there you are again. Let me jump down here. Well, I think they miss Freddie, like Freddie Freeman. Yeah, I think they do. Although, I mean, Mark Olson is no slouch. Or Matt Olson, excuse me. Day off tomorrow, solid. Rest is Matthew. Yeah, it'll be a good day for the Phillies tomorrow. Rest up after this homestand before going out there. Speaking of going out there, yeah, we will talk about where the Phillies are headed after this. We'll get a couple of more of your comments as well coming up in a second. But all in all, just one heck of a victory for the Phillies tonight on the back of Nick Castellanos. One heck of a pitching staff going out there tonight and making sure you had a chance to win this ball game as you did in 11 innings. Back with more on this game in a few. You're Locked On Phillies postcast and the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Back after this. How about the Gametime app? Take advantage of all they have to offer at the Gametime app, including the all-new Gametime feature on the Gametime app, Gametime Picks. That makes getting tickets to your favorite live event even easier on the Gametime app. Gametime Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals and great seats that you can get on the Gametime app, so you don't waste time searching through literally thousands of tickets. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Gametime app, as you can view your seat before you buy it, and you can also take advantage of their all-in pricing. Toggle this feature and you know exactly what you're paying by the time you check out. So there's no surprise, wildly inconvenient convenience fee is how these $20 tickets all of a sudden become $30. No, you toggle the all-in pricing feature on the Gametime app and you take full advantage of all they have to offer on the Gametime app. Just download the Gametime app to your phone, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And also, don't forget about their last-minute ticket deals, their flash ticket deals, and even ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So let's say you want to go to a concert, you want to go to the comedy show, and you don't really care about the opening act or the middle, you just want to see the headliner, you could save mega bucks on the Gametime app by purchasing tickets an hour after the event starts. So once again, download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, redemption code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. What time is it? It's game time with the Gametime app. Coming up for the Philadelphia Phillies after they take a break tomorrow and achieving their 81st win of the season, the Phillies will have a brief two-game series in Toronto against the Blue Jays, a 7:07 start time Tuesday night north of the border. They got a two-game series up there, 7:07 and 3:07, and then they go to Miami. So from Toronto to Miami for a four-game series with the Marlins. The Marlins, as we know, have been a little bit of a thorn in the Phillies side throughout this season. Looking like Tyler Phillips, by the way, will get the start in the first game in Toronto. But looking up at this series with the Phils, the Phillies, it's pretty incredible. The Phillies are 81-56. The Marlins are 51-86, but head-to-head, the Phillies are just one game over 500 against the Miami Marlins this year. I've said this before. A lot of times the division, a lot of times your playoff seeding comes down to just how many times you could beat the Marlins. Phillies are going to have a tough go of it with some teams here in the month of September. Toronto, I wouldn't really call one of those teams. But if you could stack wins against teams like Toronto, if you could stack wins against teams like Miami, do that against Tampa as well, you're going to be in a pretty good spot by the time you get back to your division and face. This is the big run in September that you have to watch out for. Do what you should do against Toronto. Do what you should do in Miami against the Marlins. Do what you should do when you host the Tampa Bay Rays for 3 games in South Philly. And then starting on Friday, September 13th, that weekend series, they have a 3-game set with the New York Mets before they go to Milwaukee to face the Brewers, and then they go to New York to face the Mets for a 4-game series. That's September 13th through 22nd. That, I feel, will really decide where the Phillies are at before the final 2 series of the season against the Cubs, and then they wrap things up in Washington against the Nationals. That right there is going to make or break you. Now you have put yourself on a great trajectory to get to that point in the season and just keep on winning. In order to do that, Castellanos has to stay hot. Bryce Harper needs to go out there and do his thing. but the table is set for the Phillies to go out there, reclaim the number one spot in all of baseball, which they trail the Dodgers by right now, and that's it. The only team that has a better record in baseball right now than the Philadelphia Phillies is the LA Dodgers. They were able to get on top of the Brew Crew tonight, who lost, fortunately, to the Reds in 11 innings, 4-3. The Cubs beat up on Washington tonight, 14-1. The Cardinals doubled up the Yankees, 14-7. And the Mets did win tonight. So it's a tight race in the NL East. I should say the wild card. I don't even want to make any allusion to a tight race in the NL East, as the Phillies once again are 7 games up on the Braves. But right now, the Braves are just 1 game up on the Mets for the 3rd and final wild card spot in the National League. Who knows? Maybe this is what takes the air out of the balloon for the Braves for the rest of the season. And then we don't have to worry about them again, as the Phillies don't have to face them. Just 7 more against the Mets when it comes to playoff contending teams in the NL East. The one thing, we did mention it with Brandon Marsh, so that just reminds me, I want to get back in the chat because I know there's a lot of people that want to make sure they get their comments in with the Phillies taking care of business tonight. Richard Phillips, the Braves are the Dallas Cowboys of baseball. Certainly seems like it. Delaney Richardson, check on your loved ones, Casty walk-offs. Okay. Austin, what's going on? Can't believe all the snicker hate gets from Atlanta fans. He has kept the team within 10 games of the division all season despite working with a B roster. Keep crying, Atlanta. I mean, Austin, you're not wrong. It is pretty funny, though, because that is true. All the injuries you've had, and you've stayed relevant. Now, would you credit a great pitching staff with that? Would you credit Chris Sale with most likely being the NL Cy Young Award winner this year? Would you credit Spencer Schwellenbach having one hell of a season, especially against the Phillies for the most part? Ronaldo Lopez being dominant while he's been healthy this year? That kind of gives you a good spot. And let's not act like Matt Olson is a scrub. They do have Marcell Ozuna. Look, don't get me wrong. I know they're extremely banged up, and to even be in contention at this point in a playoff spot, 1 game up on the Mets is impressive. But Marcell Ozuna is a Triple Crown threat. He's probably the second to Shohei Ohtani in MVP voting right now, or MVP odds. So that for me is still some talent that you're dealing with. But when I saw him go to Grant Holmes out of the pen to face Nick Castellanos again, I'm like, did you forget? Did Brad Snicker forget? But did he? I think he forgot. I think he just forgot. Anyway, thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are. Oh wait, here's Jason A. What's up, Jason A? Farja, this has been awesome. Proud of our boys. Absolutely. J Hub, interesting name. Snit, is that what you call him in Atlanta? Gave y'all this series, putting Holmes back into fate. All right, well that's where you and I will not disagree. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Richard Phillips, can't wait. I can't wait for Friday either. Thank you. Sarina Frown. If Harper needs to rest, they have to take him off the field. He will not do it on his own. He will die trying and not give up. That's a fair point. Thanks again, everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Hey, if I could leave you guys with one parting message, well, 2 parting messages, I guess, it would be that this Philadelphia Phillies squad knew it was on the line in this series against the Atlanta Braves. And although it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, it certainly wasn't the easiest thing in the world. Against a team that has been a thorn in your side all season long, a team whose code you just couldn't crack all season long, you finally cracked it in the most important series of the season. I know they're banged up. They still got some good players. And as the old adage goes, they got paid too. The Phillies were able to scratch, claw, and fight throughout all of this. Brandon Marsh's 3-run homer, Nick Castellanos 2-run homer, Nick Castellanos walking off again tonight. Zach Wheeler going out and dealing through 7 scoreless innings. You're getting Aaron Nola running into a little trouble in 2 innings of this game, but still being able to give you quality throughout this game. That was wildly impressive. And then regroup right after a 31-pitch inning. Aaron Nola, real quick, just looking at his start tonight. Pitch count wise, 16 pitches, 13 pitches, 18 pitches, 31 pitches, 7, and then 15 in this final inning there in the 6th inning. So certainly settled in. And also the other thing that jumped out to me about Aaron Nola's start tonight, 9 strikeouts for Aaron Nola in total. That's a good night for Aaron Nola. A very good night for Aaron Nola, dealing from the mound in the way that he was. And the knuckle curve was certainly working for him. The fastball was placed rather well. So that was a pretty big, also the two-seamer. Two-seamer, when that's going really well for Aaron Nola. It went well for him for the most part tonight. I will be back with you guys following Tuesday night's game against the Toronto Blue Jays. Again, a 7:07 start time. Looks like Tyler Phillips is slated to make that start as of now. We'll see if that sticks, as Tyler Phillips was recalled from AAA Lehigh Valley. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure, once again, you guys hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. My name's Mark Farzetta. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for listening. And also, don't forget to make Locked On Sports Philadelphia your first listen every day. Now go check out Locked On MLB podcast and prepare for the Fall Classic with our man Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, Tuesday night, I'll be back in my studio. This is my home away from home down here in Virginia, visiting some family. But fortunately, these both nationally televised games, so we all watched it. One big happy family. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day or wonderful rest of your night. Be back with you guys Tuesday. Until then, go Phils. Keep it coming. Keep it coming up north of the border. See ya.